Can you actually run a real LLM yourself? No OpenAI key, no Anthropic key, no per token bill, just a model running on a server you control. Yes, and in the next few minutes, we're going to set one up, expose it as an API, and build a small chat app that talks to it. There are 4 real reasons people do this: privacy, predictable cost, working on private networks, and version control. We'll also talk about when self-hosting is the wrong call, because there are plenty of those cases, and pretending otherwise wastes your time. Quick distinction before we touch anything. These two things get mixed up constantly. Ollama is the runtime. It's the program that loads a model into memory and handles requests. Think of it like a JVM. By itself, it doesn't do anything useful, but it knows how to run things. Gemma, Llama, Mistral, Qwen, those are the models, the actual neural networks, multi-gigabyte files of weights that produce text. You can swap models anytime. Pull a new one, point Ollama at it, done. Could you do this on your laptop? Sure. Should you? Probably not. Laptops sleep, models eat RAM, and you don't want a 4 billion parameter model warming your CPU mid-call. So, a server. Always on, reachable, with enough RAM to hold a model without choking.
So for this tutorial, I'll be using Hostinger VPS, and I want to walk through why. Because the plan choice is important here. This isn't a generic any server works situation. Memory and CPU matter here, more than for a regular web app.
This is Hostinger's VPS hosting page, their AI-managed VPS line. Before we continue, a few things are worth calling out.
Full root access. Because Ollama runs as a system service, we need to install it, expose ports, and adjust firewall rules. Lockdown hosts won't let you do that. NVMe SSD storage. That's relevant because model files are big. Gemma 3 4B is roughly 3.3 gigs on disk. A 7B model is around 4 to 5. Loading from a slow disk means slow cold starts. AMD EPIC processors, KVM virtualization. KVM gives you a real virtual machine with allocated CPU and RAM, stronger isolation than the kind of shared container hosting where someone else's workload can steal your CPU. The one-click LLM template, specifically an Ubuntu image preloaded with Ollama, the Llama 3 model as a default, and OpenWeb UI as a browser chat interface. We'll use the template, skip the default model, and pull Gemma 3 ourselves. Still saves us 5 minutes of setup. About the plan. There are 4 KVM tiers. I'm picking KVM 2, 2 vCPUs, 8 gigs of RAM, 100 gigabytes NVMe. Gemma 3 4B in its 4-bit version uses about 3 to 5 gigs of RAM in practice. The model file is 3.3 gigs on disk, plus context as it grows. OS and runtime take another 1 to 2, that leaves a gig or 2 of headroom on 8. Tight, but it's enough for a 4B model and a small app on top. If you want to step up to 7B models, that's KVM 4 territory. 7B in 4-bit lands in the 5 to 7 gig range, which doesn't fit cleanly on 8. So, KVM 2 if you're staying with 3B or 4B, which is where we're going for this build. KVM 4 if you want to experiment with 7B.
If you want to follow along, the coupon LTS10 takes 10% off whichever plan you pick. Link is hostinger.com/LTS10, also in the description.
After provisioning, you land in hPanel. From the VPS section, head into OS and Panel, click Operating System, pick Ubuntu, then select Applications and pick Ollama, and the template will take care of VPS setup. hPanel gives you the VPS overview, free weekly backups, firewall settings, a browser-based terminal, meaning no SSH key fiddling if you don't feel like it. One click, and you're inside the box. That icon is Cody, their AI assistant. You can hand it a task in plain English, and it'll actually run the VPS commands itself. No copy-paste needed. Worth knowing about, even if we won't use it today.
Because the template ships with Ollama, we can just verify it's there. It prints the version, so we're good. If you're on a plain Ubuntu install instead, this one-liner will do the job. Same outcome, 60 seconds longer. First, let's see what's already there. The template came with Llama 3 already pulled. Fine model, but we're going with Gemma 3 4B for this build, Google's open weight model. Smaller, fast on CPU, fits on our 8 gig box. The first pull is the slow part. About 3.3 gigs over the wire, I've sped this up. After it's local, it's local. You won't pull it again. Ollama list confirms what's installed. Both models sitting there ready to go. To actually talk to it, the first request takes a few seconds. The model has to load into RAM. After that, the next prompts are fast. There it is. The model we just pulled, replying from our own server. Nothing external touched. Now the cost. What's this taking in RAM? With the model loaded, we're using about 4 to 5 gigs of RAM, more than half our 8 gig box. Self-hosting isn't free. Instead of paying per token, you're paying a fixed monthly bill for the server. If your traffic is bursty and small, hosted APIs are usually cheaper. If it's steady or you've got privacy constraints, self-hosting wins. Now we can call it from code. Ollama's been serving a REST API on port 11343 the whole time. Nothing else to start, nothing else to configure. We hit the generate endpoint with a simple prompt. Standard JSON, model name, generated text, token counts, timings, the usual fields you'd want. Ollama also exposes an OpenAI-compatible endpoint at v1/chat/completions. If you have code using the OpenAI SDK, just point its base URL at your server. The basic chat completions endpoint works. One line change and you've moved off OpenAI. Not every OpenAI endpoint is mirrored, but the everyday ones are there. If you ever open port 11343 to the public internet, add authentication. Ollama doesn't ship with auth by default. The hPanel firewall section is where you'd lock things down. Whitelist your app's IP or put a reverse proxy in front with an API key. For this video, we're keeping everything on the same server. The app and Ollama will talk over localhost, so we don't need to expose the port at all. Time to build something.
Keeping it deliberately simple, a chat UI that streams responses from our model, Node and Express on the back, plain HTML on the front, around 80 lines total, and it'll teach you the pattern you can use in anything bigger. Make the folder, init a package, install Express. Done.
Now the server. Standard Express setup. We serve a static front end from a public folder and accept JSON bodies. Nothing fancy. One endpoint, post chat. It takes a prompt from the request body, forwards it to Ollama with stream true, and pipes the stream of tokens back to the browser as they arrive. Ollama uses new line delimited JSON for streaming. Each line is one chunk of the response. We buffer the chunks, split on new lines, parse each line, and write the response field back to the browser. The browser sees tokens appear in real time, same feel as ChatGPT. The buffer is required as TCP chunks don't always end on a JSON line. One line can get split across two chunks. Without it, you'd hit JSON.parse errors on partial lines, maybe one request in 15. Failures that look random until you spot the cause. The front end is very simple. Text area for the prompt, a div for the output, a button. The script does one thing: fetch to our chat endpoint, read the response body as a stream, and append each piece to the output div as it arrives. That's the full client. Start the server, open the VPS IP on port 3000. I'll ask it for a short poem about a tired developer at 2 a.m., hit send, and tokens stream back in real time. The full loop. Your code, your server, your model. No external API in the picture, no token meter anymore. From here, you'd add chat history, system prompts, maybe RAG over your own documents. Same loop underneath, just more layers on top. Before anyone uninstalls the OpenAI SDK, let's talk about the trade-offs. Pick the wrong tool for the job, and you'll regret it. Self-hosting wins for learning, for privacy-sensitive work, for side projects and internal tools, for predictable costs at low to medium volume, for offline use, and for pinning a model version so the vendor can't change it on you mid-project. Hosted APIs still win for frontier capability, for high-throughput production, for the zero ops overhead, and for the largest models you wouldn't realistically run yourself. A 4B open model handles plenty of jobs. The largest closed models still pull ahead on the hardest ones. Pick the right tool for the job you're trying to do. Different tools for different jobs. Most real systems end up using both. Hosted APIs for the hard reasoning, self-hosted for high-volume traffic or anything privacy-sensitive. That's it. Pull a model,
run it, expose it on a port, point an app at it. Once you've done it once, you can do it for any open weight model, Llama, Mistral, Qwen, DeepSeek, whatever drops next week. If you want spin up your own, the coupon LTS10 takes 10% off at hostinger.com. Links in the description. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.